Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Now then, a lot of the trout fisheries you go to get problems with weed. I'm talking about England here in the summer. Ha! Summer. Yeah, that's right. 3 or 4 days that we get. I'm going to call it sunlight. Sunlight penetrating clear water creates weed blooms. Weed blooms grow to the surface. They might die off, they might just stay on the surface. Either way, if you're a trout angler, you can't then get your fly to sink to the right depth that the trout are swimming at. Can be a bit frustrating, especially when it's patchy weed. You make the long cast, the nymph starts sinking, and then it snags on a piece of weed. I mean, if you start retrieving, the weed goes on the fly. Can be a bit trying to say the least, but I was down at Diva Springs Trout Fishery watching them trying to manage and cut the weed to make the best chance of getting a big trout they can for you guys, or for us guys, the fly fishermen. Let's get down there. We're going to see Jordan, one of the fishery people down there, and he's going to talk us through it briefly. Little short clip that shows you might not ever have seen a boat quite as unusual as this one.
Okay, my name's Jordan. We're here down here at Diva Springs today, and we're doing the weed cut. The process of we put the boat into the lakes. We cut the weed. We've got some mare's tail, some starwort, and that all gets cut. We do this around about once a month through the summer months to keep on top of it. We're very famous here at Diva for our gin clear water, and we like to keep it that way. So we like to keep the lakes nice and clear for our anglers, and it makes fishing a bit easier, spotting fish a little bit easier, and actually hooking them and actually landing them a little bit easier. Okay, so some of our rainbows and browns go to over 20 pounds, so keeping the weed down is absolutely key for landing these very large fish here at Diva. Okay, so we're alongside the River Diva, spring fed, very, very clear through the summer months, and that allows the sunlight to penetrate through the water. This is obviously going to cause weed growth, so we have to keep on top of that. So Stuart's down there doing the weed cut. He's actually in the boat at the moment. He's been in there for a couple of hours. It does take probably from about 8 until 12 cutting, and then we use a weed cutting net to net it all off. Hopefully the weed will then float to the surface, which will make netting the weed off a little bit easier for us, and then it's the lovely process of getting covered and taking the weed out by hand, but it's not too much of a problem. We actually shut Spring Lake today, and Willow Lake's still open to anglers. But we shut Spring Lake just to get this weed cutting done. It's just one day probably per month through the summer months. Through the summer months we keep on top of all our bank management, and this is from grass cutting to all our hedge trimming, to all our reed rushes around the lake. We like to keep them all even so they don't get so long and just don't get into anglers' way. So the weed cutting boat, it doesn't hurt the trout at all, nor does the net in fact. The net is only very, very shallow, so we only run very shallow through the lake, only about 1 metre down, so we don't catch any trout whatsoever. This allows no marks, doesn't stress the fish out whatsoever, and it allows us just to get a nice clean cut on all the weed and allow us to remove it pretty easily.
So you can see there's quite a bit of work involved driving around in that boat, but it looks a bit archaic, a bit antique. I wanted to get aboard it, and that's what I did. Stuart came and picked me up, and I wanted to get some shots of those horrific blades under the water on my underwater camera. Now you might be wondering what these big tubes of straw are. Well, I think they're actually barley. I think that's what they put in them, and that is designed to break the algae down, to just sort of dissolve the algae that you get in the water and hopefully keep it clear. But look at this. This is what you call a real boy's propeller. It's obviously not just a means of propulsion, it is some form of cutting blade as well. So it drives the boat along, and look at the teeth, horrific teeth, backwards and forwards, about 3 inches long. I mean, you wouldn't want to fall in front of these things, would you? So not only does that have to be raised and lowered by Stuart using the vertical blade there, you can see the cutting blade, and the low one, it has to go up and down trying to follow the contours of the lake bed obviously without digging up the lake bed. So quite tricky to do, and you've got to obviously have some idea of the depth, of the contours of the lake bed, and just work your way up and down and across it. Now, I've often wondered why in shallower waters, like a lot of our trout waters are in the UK, you couldn't actually get a diver with a scythe, you know, and go down and cut it, literally working, say, with a lead belt, and go across underneath the water and cut it really, really low. But of course, being clear water, I think as fast as you cut it, give it 3 weeks to a month, and it's probably going again. There's a propeller, but I'm going to put the underwater mic on and just listen to the noise it makes. Yes, indeedy, you would not want to slip in the water with this little puppy going along, would you? It gives you a rough idea what it's like, and at least you can see that lake management in Diva Springs is high priority. They try and keep it, obviously, as clear as they can for you trout anglers to get your fly line down. There's nothing worse than having a leader that won't sink down to that big trout on the bottom. Graham's having a great time, and he's going to come back next time with a fishing rod.